Hey guys, as we get ready to get started, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up or let me know if you can hear the audio. Outstanding. Thank you. 20 seconds. All right, we are live. Hope everybody's having a great day. This is a fun one. We've got a joint AE live. We've got Ace Basin as well as Greenville Composite. So everybody that's on from Greenville, say hi to Ace. It's wonderful having you all here tonight. What we are going to do, first of all, let me introduce myself. Most of you don't know me. So my name is Lieutenant Bob Roberts. I'm obviously with the Greenville Composite Squadron. And I am the AEO for Greenville. I'm also the AEO for Group 3, which is your group. So I am your group AEO. So when we start getting our meetings back together, I'm really hoping to get over and see you all and meet you all. So here's what we've got going on. This is a little different than probably what you've done in Microsoft Teams. So this is a YouTube live streaming channel. And one of the things that you can do, I'm going to switch over to the virtual iPad here, is on our YouTube channel, we have been putting together a lot of videos. I've been pushing out probably about a video a week, sometimes two a week. And if you are studying for your aerospace dimensions tests, I have the first 5 of the modules now done, and the 6th module is underway. I just did the intro for it. So definitely do yourself a favor. If you would like, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on the channel. This way you'll see when new content is coming out, and that'll help you, and it'll also help us. We have a goal to try to get to 500 subscribers here by the end of September. And I think we can totally do it. We are knocking on the door. I think we're at like 420. So definitely, if you can, go ahead and hit the subscribe. That'll help out. All right, so what are we doing tonight? Oh, first of all, the other thing too, for the folks that aren't used to being live on YouTube with me, there is about a 15 to 20 second delay between when you write a comment and when I get to see it. I actually have your comments right in front of me, so I'll be able to see your comments or questions. Please feel free to ask a question at any time. What I like to do is try to put a couple of question marks in front of your question, and then that'll kind of catch my eye as the messages are scrolling up that somebody had a question. So tonight, for Ace Basin, you guys have a little bit shorter timeline. For us, we usually go about an hour. You guys are about a half an hour. Also, Ace Basin, or any other squadron that's watching this, we actually get probably about 100 people that watch these videos over over a week or two. So anybody that's watching this, we tend to go live Mondays on the 2nd and 3rd Mondays at 7 o'clock. However, if you have something else going on, you can't make it, these videos are saved. So that's one of the advantages of going on YouTube, is that you can watch these videos on your own time. All right. So tonight we have a little bit smaller presentation, and we are going to discuss Agile rocket development. Yes, Douglas, exactly like that. A couple of question marks, and that just like locks my eye right on it. I can see that somebody had a question. Thank you very much. And so, Agile rocketry development, right? So what does that mean? Honestly, this is really the driving force, in my opinion anyways, and a lot of people's opinions. It's a driving force of why we've seen so much success in rocketry over the last couple of years. And now we're going to focus on SpaceX, but they're not the only ones. But really, we're going to take a look at 2 different development methods for developing rockets. We're going to look at Agile, and we're going to look at Waterfall. Now, we're also going to be doing a hands-on lesson as part of this. Okay, so let's continue here. Okay, so waterfall development, and I promise all of you this is not going to be a death by PowerPoint presentation. We're going to have some hands-on here. So with waterfall development, it's a one and done type development method. And so really what that means is, you're going to have an analysis. You're going to take a look at what are you supposed to do? How are you going to design it? Then you actually build it. You're going to do some testing, and then you're going to go and you're going to use it. And guess what? Once all that is done, you're done. So what's an example of that? Let's take a look at the SLS. The SLS, which is, we are looking at using that to take us to the moon and to Mars. And you haven't seen it fly yet. Yet it's supposed to do this in the next couple of years. But why haven't you seen a bunch of these, like the SpaceX rockets? And the reason why is because they have a different philosophy. They have a philosophy of we can't fail. We have to design and over-design and build everything with just strict tolerances. And that seems like it makes a lot of sense for rocketry, right? Just build it once, build it right, and be done with it. And that's really been the methodology of rocketry design for the last 60, 70, 80 years. Ever since World War II, there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of government politics involved. If that SLS rocket were to blow up, can you imagine the outcry from everybody paying taxes? How much money did we just waste on this rocketry blowing up, right? And so when you have government contracts, you really are stuck with this. You can't fail. But rockets do fail, right? The space shuttle, we lost 2 of them. The Apollo missions, we lost astronauts during a test of all things. And so you can fail, right? So, all right. So let's take a look at our first hands-on. We're going to be doing a bunch of these. The paper airplane, block 1. So I need to turn my camera back on here on the side. Hopefully that'll turn back on. All right, that should be good. I might have to change my battery here, but let's see. All right, iPad. So hi everybody, I got my other camera here. So, all right. So what we're going to do is I want you to pick a spot. If this turns off again, I have another battery. I can swap it real quick. I just got back from the national conference. The battery might be a little low. So pick a spot about 10 feet away. Put a target on your floor, okay? And then what I want you to do, make a paper airplane, right? So I'm going to make a quick one here. Let's see, any questions so far? No questions so far. All right, now, just make a fast one. Don't even think about it too much, right? You've got your design. I told you to put something 10 feet away, and then you're going to make a quick paper airplane, and then we're going to see how far we can get. So let's see. I'm going to turn you guys over here. Hopefully nobody gets dizzy. Let's see here. Da-da-da-da. This is my office. Let's see if I'll lock that in place. All right. Selden, I want you to build one too, buddy. All right. So let's see. So I got my thing. Let's see how good I do, right? My first shot. Oh, that failed miserably. I didn't even come close. All right. So that's our first block. Give a little note in the live chat once you had a chance to throw your first plane. We're going to continue on just for the sake of time while you're doing that. Okay. So again, that was the waterfall development, right? We had an analysis. What do we have to do? We had to build a paper airplane, right? We had to, the required specification was to be able to hit a target 10 feet away. I designed it. I made the paper airplane. That was I developed it, and then I threw it, right? I did some initial testing, right? It held in my hand okay, and then I deployed it, right? Well, if they were doing the waterfall development method, you're done. That's it. You launch your rocket. You launch your paper airplane. That's it. You're done. You can't fail. You got one shot at it. Now, obviously, if you're ULA, you've launched an Atlas V rocket, 30, 40, 50 times, maybe more. You're going to make changes over time. But for the most part, the development method is really done. Plane nowhere near target. That's right. Mine was terrible. Done. Awful. Exactly. A wad of paper soaked with paper goes a long way. So Selden made a baseball out of what paper towel and just threw it like a baseball. So mine did kind of good considering what good is. Mine hit the wall. I got kind of close. Pineapples are the bomb. I love your name. That is funny. Mine did a loop somehow. Hey, listen, if the if the requirements were to do a loop, you would have learned something the rest of us didn't know. Okay, so now let's take a look at Agile development. That's the whole point of this. And frankly, this is, in my opinion, not the landing rocket legs, not privatization, commercialization. It's the development methodology of the Rocketry is why we're seeing such an increase capability of our rockets the last 10 years. So let's take a look at this, right? So now you're planning something, you're designing something, you're developing it, you're testing it, you're deploying it, and then you're reviewing it, right? What went well, what went wrong, right? And then you're going to do it again, right? You're going to take that information, you're going to learn from it, right? It's not a one and done. You can fail, right? Failure is expected. And so when you fail, you're going to learn from those failures. And then, so always, if you ever fail a test, just tell your teacher, it's not really a failure. I was testing a development. So they may still give you an F. So I'm not sure you really want to do that. But so design, develop, test, right? You just keep going around until you get it to work. And, you think to yourself, hey, listen, when I do this, I'm going to use a lot of pieces of paper. Do you know what, though? The pieces of paper are pretty cheap. As opposed to if you had to really put into a computer-aided design the exact folds and figure out all of the intricate layouts and that could take a really long time, and the material costs really aren't the expensive piece. The expensive part is us. It's the engineers. It's the people doing the work. And it's the possible astronauts' lives that are on, let's say, the SLS. That launches, 2 or 3 times. I made it a bit better. Oh, pineapples, you're a little bit ahead of me. You're on version 2, but you're in the right path. So let's go. Let's meet up. So let's take a look at SpaceX real quick. This normally has audio with it, but I've learned from the last time I did a presentation like this that when I put the audio, actually, you guys can't see it. Let me start that over. When I had the audio on, the video actually got copyright striked. I had to take the video down. So I can't put the audio on it. But here's SpaceX and their Falcon 9. And the Falcon 9 and SpaceX is really the first rocket design that's used the Agile method. And you're going to see rocket after rocket after rocket after rocket explode. And here's an important part. That guy that's walking on the screen there, that's Elon Musk. That's his money. There's no government contract at this stage. There is now, but there wasn't back then. And so everything you're seeing blowing up, that's his. He owned that. He owned the people. He owned the material. He spent all this money. He had private investors that he went to and said, hey, I have this dream. I want to get to Mars. And I need money, right? And so all these people are seeing all these explosions. But it's a failure after failure after failure. And he just goes on and on and on. All these things that, if it could go wrong, it has gone wrong. And they embraced it. This video wasn't made by somebody on the internet trolling, Elon Musk trolling SpaceX. This was made by SpaceX. And we're going to watch a video here in just a minute. From Elon Musk. It's about 3 minutes long, and I'm hoping the audio works. Otherwise, we're going to kill the video pretty quick. But here we go. Ran out of fuel. They got so close. Look how close that came. That was at a few feet of landing good, right? And then, bam, that one blows up. And again, this is his money. So can you imagine if you built something that cost you, $10, $20 million, and it blew up? But now look at this, 2015, first successful landing. 2016, another successful landing, this time in the ocean of all places. And then they take them back. So it's this agile development that really, and now you can start making your second paper airplane. I was going to say your second rocket, but you haven't made a rocket yet. Here, go ahead and start making your second paper airplane. Let me switch over to mine. Let's see here. All right. So let's see if I can make any better. So mine kind of dropped to the floor pretty quick. So I need to go further out. So I'm going to think that I was a little nose heavy, maybe. So let me see if I can make that a little bit wider so I can glide. Fail early. That's right, Christopher. Is much easier, better, cheaper, and faster to fail early. You don't want to fail when you have astronauts on that rocket. You don't want to fail when you have people that are flying in your airplane. All right, let's see. That being said, I have no idea how to really build a paper airplane. So let's see if it does any better. Let's see. I got a little tab up on top. You guys can't see. Well, you can kind of see. It's similar. I folded in the beginning a little bit more to try to make it go. So let's see. It's going to fail miserably, right? Oh, that was a little better. So I probably won't get better than that now for the rest of the night. So how'd you guys do? Did you guys do better? Or did you do worse? Second design worked pretty well. I hit the target. That's pretty good. So, all right, let's go back to this. So now if we take a look at SpaceX, they haven't just built one rocket, right? So the Falcon 9 has actually had 5 different iterations. And they go version 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and then the Block 5, and then they have also the Falcon Heavies, which is really just Falcon 9s strapped together. But each one, we're not going to get into this video. We don't have time to really go into the differences between the different blocks. But there was different engine designs. The Falcon 9 1.0, they all used 9 engines, but the 1.0 kind of had them in a square pattern, with 9, 3, 3, 3, so on a square. And the Falcon 9 1.1 started making them circular with one center one. And then full throttle 1.2, and then now the Block 5. Now the other ones, they don't call them blocks, they call them versions. And the reason why is, mayday, 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 mine nosedived. I did worse than before. But, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to analyze why you did worse than before. But if you were an engineer, you could analyze, hey, that actually didn't work. And that's actually a good life thing, too. You can fail miserably your first time, think you figured out, or somebody could tell you, hey, I think you did this wrong. You could try to implement, those fixes. Then you could try it again, and you could do even worse. So that's, but you know what though? But you can learn by doing worse. There's, we don't have a ton of time, but there's a story I like to tell all the time. That one of the most important things in leadership, and for those of you that are into leadership as well, one of the most important things in leadership is to just make a decision. Don't always be afraid of making a wrong decision. Because what happens is when you make a decision, if you don't, you make the best decision you can with the information you have, but at some point you got to go. You got to make the decision. And because if you make the decision, let me go live here. Because if you make the decision, let's say I'm flying, okay? And I'm flying and I see a mountain in front of me, okay? Well, I got to turn. I don't know which way I'm going to turn, right? I got to make a left turn or a right turn. That's my only choices. Airplane doesn't have enough power to go above it, and I know if I go below it, I'm still going to be in the mountains. So I got to make a turn left or right. So what do? You make a turn, right? You have to make a decision. You make the best decision you can. Maybe your mind, it looks a little bit brighter to the left of me, so maybe the sun's coming over. I don't have anything else to base off, so I'm just going to make a decision. So you turn left. Well, if you turn left and the mountains got bigger, you made a bad decision. You have additional information that you can now turn around. So now you want to turn around and you want to go to the right side. Yeah, and so you've now, again, this goes back to the agile development as well. You develop and you reiterate based on the input and the outcome of either your successes or your failures. Okay. Now at some point you're going to get to a point where you have, for rocket entries, you have to lock it down. Mine did a lot better, about 11 feet. Yay! Very good, Shadow Gamer. All right. So let's just take a quick look while we're doing that at the SpaceX booster landings, right? So this is just SpaceX because the rest of the rocket companies, no offense to them, they're really still in that waterfall method. And so SpaceX is really the first company to really do this rapid iteration. I would say even Virgin Galactic, they don't have spaceship after spaceship after spaceship. They had one, they had a problem with it. Unfortunately, somebody died. They made another one, but you're not seeing this rapid integration of spaceships like you are with SpaceX with the Falcon 9s. So if you look at the beginning here, you can't see it because I wasn't showing it to you. Sorry about that. So if you look at the booster landings here in the very beginning, you're gonna see. See if you can see my mouse. You're going to see failure, right? Now the gray here means that they didn't even try. They didn't even try to land it. These are landing attempts, right? But you see lots and lots of failure. Here they couldn't even get the parachute to work. But failure. Oh, by the way, they stopped trying to have a parachute at all. They gave up on the whole parachute idea very early on. That's why you don't see any more parachutes on this thing. Anyways, but what do you see? Failure. And Elon Musk actually said at one point that his, I forgot which launch it was, but one of his launches, he said he was out of money. He was literally out of money. He had mortgaged his house, and if that rocket had failed, he really wasn't sure where he was going to get enough money to make another rocket, right? So just think about that. You were a billionaire and you've spent all your money because you're so passionate about trying to get something to work. You have no government money. It's not like Boeing or Lockheed Martin where they're just taking huge amounts of government money and win, lose or draw, they've got that money to use. Elon Musk didn't have that. So, but what are we seeing now, right? We're starting to see a mixture of successes, but we're still seeing failures, right? And then we're seeing more successes, but he also still had a lot of failures here. But also, even when you see these failures here, these really weren't direct failures because they were still in a testing mode. They didn't have a finished rocket yet. But then, look at here. All of a sudden, no failures on the drone ships, right? Ground success, right? Drone success. Now, drone ship success means in the water, okay? And so you've had a lot in ocean test success, okay? So, and then again, where you see this gray, that means they didn't try. And so what did that mean? Why didn't they try? As a rocket, they're trying to get something into space. And depending on your altitude that you need to get that thing into space and where you need to put it into orbit, you have to go a certain amount of speed. And everybody wants to see anything about that. I think Aerospace Dimensions 5 has that. I think my thing turned off. Aerospace Dimensions 5 talk about that. I'll actually, after I go live and I can add the link, I'll put a link. Let's see. I'll put a link, actually the other side. Yeah, I'll put a link over here. And you guys can click on that playlist if you haven't done it already. Anyway, so you're seeing lots of successes. Now, in the end here, they show drone ship failure. This is actually not truly a failure. I wish that they had a different way of showing this because now here they were starting to test the Falcon Heavy. And they knew that they didn't have very much fuel. They were trying some new things. The main mission was successful. And so, but they still track it as the rocket didn't land successfully. So they mark it as a failure, even though the chances were it wasn't going to work. SpaceX didn't really think it was going to work. They were just testing. All right, block 3. All right, you ready? Let's try to make another one. What time have we got? 7 minutes left? All right, we're doing good. All right. Let's see how we're doing. All right. I'm going to... That last one seemed to work much better, so I'm going to try to do something similar. Let's see how yours do. I'm going to make something a lot different. Let's see here. So that went pretty good. I'm going to try to angle out the back just a little bit. All right. This is the ugliest paper airplane in the history of paper airplanes. All right, ready? Here we go. Oh, a little better. This is actually working out pretty good. So a little tiny bit further. It actually just floated a little bit at the end and came right down. You have to get out of the chat mode to be able to select the thumb. Oh, okay, thanks, Ellen. All right, so let's go back to here. So and we're kind of getting close to wrapping up. But again, when you take a look at how you're doing things, you've got plan, design, develop, test, deploy, review. Again, you don't have to remember all those steps unless you're going to go into project management or something like that. But just you're going in a circle, right? You're trying it, you're failing, you're learning from whatever your successes and failures were, and then you're going to try it again. And you're going to go around and around and around until it finally works, okay? All right. So again, Elon Musk, don't necessarily agree with everything he says and all of his opinions on life. But when it comes to engineering, I do agree with a lot what he says. And, you always hear people say failure is not an option. And he says, absolutely. Failure is an option. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. And I will tell you, even I'm an engineer. So even with my staff, I have employees. My staff, if they just are playing it safe, they're not innovating. They're not trying. If they're not coming up with new ideas, I would rather see somebody come up with something and say, "Hey, this is something I want to try. Is it okay if I do it?" Right now, if it's not going to risk somebody's life, or just cost huge amounts of money, usually I'm going to say, "Go for it, risk it." Right? If it fails, it fails. What do we learn from it? Right? All right. Let's see if this works.
Well, when my brother and I were starting our first company, instead of getting an apartment, we just rented a small office and we slept on the couch. And we showered at the YMCA, and we're so hot up we had one computer, so the website was up during the day, and I was coding at night, 7 days a week, all the time. Really liking what you do, whatever area that you get into, given that even if you're the best, there's always a chance of failure. So I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short. If you like what you're doing, you think about it even when you're not working. I mean, it's something that your mind is drawn to, and if you don't like it, you just really can't make it work. Work hard, every waking hour. That's the thing I would say. If somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company. And now is the time to take risk. You don't have kids. As you get older, your obligations increase. So and once you have a family, you start taking risk not just for yourself but for your family as well. It gets much harder to do things that might not work out. So now is the time to do that before you have those obligations. So I would encourage you to take risks now. Do something bold.
There are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight in the way that you're developing it.
Those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Well, I didn't really think Tesla would be successful. I thought we would most likely fail.
Didn't expect the company to be successful, then why try?
If something's important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school.
That I disagree with.
If somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I think it's just
that
to have a future that is inspiring and feeling. I think that there have to be reasons that you get up in the morning and you want to live. Like, why do you want to live? What's the point? What inspires you? What do you love about the future? And if we're not out there, if the future does not include being out there among the stars and being a multi-planet species, I find that it's incredibly depressing if that's not the future that we're going to have.
That third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
All right. So, one thing he said there, it's really, kind of an interesting comment, right? So he says he's not a big fan of spending $200,000 to go to college, right? So he's also a brilliant, just genius, right? So maybe he could figure it all out. Like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they went to college and they failed out in their first years. And they wanted to be really, really good because they were just driven. That's not the norm. So as an engineer myself, if you're interested in engineering STEM, I highly recommend going to college. That's where you're going to get your base. The majority of people, that's where you get your base. So anyways, all right. So we are at 6:45. So now we have one more time here. Let's get rid of this. All right, final development. Ready? We got one more to go. So I'm going to turn my thing back on. Let's see. So far, this has worked out pretty good. We've gotten a little bit closer every time. I have a feeling this one's going to fail, probably the worst of all. But let's see how you do. And while we are wrapping up, let me know, do you have any questions? Let me go here real quick. Failure is an option. All right. Any questions that you have while we're wrapping up? Hopefully you guys learned something. It was great to have Ace out here. Hopefully once everything is back in session, I'll get a chance to come out and see you all. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have a Rocketry weekend. We're going to have an astronomy night. All good things hopefully to work for. All right, ready? Here we go. Last one. All right. Selden, give me a virtual drum roll on your desk that nobody can hear. All right, here we go. This is going to fail. It's going to be the worst one. Here we go. Oh, it did fail. It went over there. It went behind my light. Oh, well. National Capital Wing. That is awesome. Hey, it's nice to see you, Christopher. Thanks so much for joining us. That was good. Hey, I landed nose first. Target. Yeah, hey, listen, it all counts, right? The biggest thing, and we're going to wrap up here in 30 seconds, is, at some point, you have to lock in the design, right? Because at some point, you keep doing this agile development. As soon as you put those astronauts on there, that thing's got to be tested, and you stop making changes. Even small changes have to be tested. That was the whole point of the Crew Dragon test, demo test it just had, right? It had 2 astronauts on it. And so a lot of people would say, is that really a test? You sent 2 people to the ISS. Well, you didn't send 7 people to the ISS. And so if there was a problem, they've done lots of tests before, and that at some point you got to put a person on it. On my 5th try, I made some small flaps on the end to slow down the plane at normal speed and actually land on target. Look at that. Perfect example. Perfect example. Look at that. You learned from all your iterations. If you just did that one time, you wouldn't have learned all that. All right. With that, I think it is time to let Ace go. And with that, we're going to wrap up our stream for the night. And thanks, everybody. And we'll see you soon. And thanks for joining. Bye, everyone.